Ripple and XRP have set a precedent when it comes to how to deal with the authorities. And I'm going to talk about a few interesting things going on with Ripple and XRP, which is awesome. But let's have a quick look at the market. You have the memes and microcaps doing their thing, pumping 20, 30, 40, 50, 60%. We're at fear and greed of 54, which is exactly where we were yesterday, interestingly enough. Like, that hasn't moved at all. So we're neutral, but we're tending towards greed. I think as we move into the new year, we shall see that move into greed and into extreme greed as Bitcoin, XRP, Ethereum, etc. start to do their thing. Bitcoin looking nice at $95,000. It actually hit like $100,000 a couple of days ago during Christmas, but it's got this sort of Bart Simpson thing that keeps happening. Let me just get the correct graph out. It's got this little Bart Simpson tipping his head over the water thing that keeps happening, but really it's just moving sideways, and so is XRP. XRP also moving sideways. No Bart Simpson on the XRP chart, sort of like a play from Kid and Play. Only 80s and 90s kids will remember this, guys. So it's sort of like you can't really see the effect on this picture. It's sort of like a slanted sort of, another guy that had it was Bobby Brown. Let me see if yeah, that's the one. That's from the 1990s, bro. Kind of dating myself there. I remember this. So yeah, so we have a Bobby Brown on the XRP chart, but again, just moving sideways. If you zoom out a little bit, we're still very much in green, so that is awesome. So what precedent has Ripple and XRP set? Well, I made a video, didn't get that many views, so you probably haven't seen it, about the IRS declaring DeFi front ends as brokers. As such, they need KYC information, very heavy KYC information. They need information of every taxpayer that uses their front end. They need all of the transactions recorded so that they can be sent to the IRS, so the IRS can figure out who's paying tax and how much tax they're going to be paying. So that's going to basically make it impossible for a lot of these platforms to run. So what's usually going to happen is they're going to move out of the United States. You're going to see them close down operations in the United States, put up a firewall, which will require, effectively, a workaround to get to use the platform, usually a VPN or whatever, etc. And they just basically go to a country where they have favorable conditions. But very, very quickly indeed, the Blockchain Association has sued the IRS over crypto broker rules. So that happened very quickly, very sharp movement. This is what I like to see. It seems like, Ripple and XRP has demonstrated how to deal with these guys, right? The IRS now has to deal with a lawsuit from a blockchain association. And they're suing, saying like, look, this is an overreach. And I tend to agree. Now, when it comes to taxes, right, obviously the IRS has the right to chase any platform that is making money or via which people are making money, but the requirements for a DeFi front end that deals with smart contracts, swaps, to do KYC and do reporting for the purpose of sending all that information to IRS, not only is it a colossal amount of work to have to do, it is nearly impossible, as most people that use swaps are anonymous to platform they're doing the swaps on. That's the whole point. It may also require a significant code change. So it puts these platforms at risk if the IRS is going to go after them, especially legally in court. It discourages innovation. It discourages programmers and developers from building these platforms for, that provide the financial freedom and the autonomy of financial transactions to people who use them. And it also creates a massive burden of work for people who operate them, right? So the lawsuit alleges that the IRS latest ruling exceeds the agency's statutory authority and violates the Administrative Procedure Act. So they actually going for actual, legal violations, right? The Blockchain Association is pushing back against the latest cryptocurrency regulatory move of the IRS with a joint lawsuit. That's another thing that I like to see. Now, companies, organizations, bodies, associations, blockchain users, whales, all of these people need to start coming together and forming a unified front against the assault of the government and the IRS and the SEC and all those. The fight has been taken back to the courts so that, all these unconstitutional overreaches that we're seeing from these institutions institutions can be dealt with in the court. On December 27, the IRS issued final regulations requiring brokers to report digital asset transactions, expanding existing reporting requirements to include front-end platforms such as the decentralized exchanges, DEXs. So while that is set to take effect in 2027, the rules mandate that the brokers disclose gross proceeds from sales of cryptocurrencies and other digital assets, including information regarding taxpayers involved in the transactions. So massive overreach, right? And then we have, if you look at Kristen Smith on Twitter or X, you can see that she's tweeted that today we're taking action, filing a lawsuit that argues today's broker rulemaking violates the Administrative Procedure Act. So they're going for the unconstitutionality of the decision. So that's going to be interesting. There's still some time to 2027 for this to be enacted. At least it's after the bull market. So that's at least positive, right? I don't know if the IRS has done that on purpose to us as not to kneecap the actual bull run. Perhaps they've had a word too with BlackRock and all of those guys. Who knows, man? So yeah, people are fighting back. So shout out to Ripple, shout out to XRP for showing the way. And I hope to see more and more of this sort of stuff going forward where, you know, crypto people just take the fight and punch back, yeah? Talking about legal issues, there are a few CEOs and chairmen and founders, etc. that are in serious trouble. Remember Terra Luna and how much it crashed and how many people it wrecked in the last bull run? And I think even the collapse of Terra Luna was probably what ushered in the beginning of the bear market and then got solidified by the crash of FTX, right? But, you know, SBF and the other culprits from that organization of the FTX have, you know, been facing justice this whole time, right? They've been at least taken to court and, you know, people are serving whatever sentences that they're supposed to be serving. And we're seeing like some of the FTX funds being returned to their former owners and stuff. But Do Kwon has been MIA. Even CZ from Binance has been to prison and back, right? But Do Kwon vanished, bro. And nothing happened. We just sort of stopped hearing about Terra Luna and UST and, you know, what happened with that? It kind of just vanished. Turns out that he'd been hiding out in the Balkans. And now Montenegro, a little country of the former Yugoslavia, the justice minister approves Do Kwon's extradition to the United States. So we may yet see a court case, a trial for this guy. I can't wait for him to get a bit of justice because he ruined a lot of people's lives, man. A lot of people got wrecked. I lost a fair bit of money actually in the Terra Luna debacle. I still have my tokens, by the way, because they crashed 99.9999999%. Massive loss, right? What's the point of selling them? I just have them locked away somewhere in case anytime in the future, maybe 100 years from now, they return to their old value. It's just, I don't know, it's just so dumb. In my mind, I've lost them. So a lot of people's lives were wrecked because of this guy's very terrible practices and a very faulty product and a massive rug pull. Of course, there's some evidence that, you know, there was some attack against his product from, you know, the US government and other powers that be. There's some allegations with Justin Sun, etc. But, you know, that's none of my business, not financial advice, not legal advice, and not even a legal opinion, right? I'm not qualified to offer one of those. But it's quite interesting that Montenegro will be extraditing him to the United States to face trial. And talking about other founders in trouble, we have HEX's Richard Hart as his stage name. His name is something quite different. So Richard Hart hit with Interpol red notice. So Richard Schuler, aka HEX crypto founder Richard Hart, is being sought by Interpol and has landed on Europe's most wanted fugitive list. Now, I never bought any HEX, but I have a lot of friends that, I don't know, whatever reason, believed in this HEX thing. They all went, you know, really deep into HEX, even though there was a lot of like a weird, dodgy, sort of long lockup period, years, if not decades, for it to actually do anything. Meanwhile, you know, Richard was showing off all his big shiny stuff. I don't know, man. I just never really, you know, I don't know. It wasn't my cup of tea. But a lot of people that I know actually were Hexicans, as they call themselves. Now, you know, Interpol is after the guy. So, you know, I think the funny thing about this is, like many of these guys, they're not taking him in or on any sort of necessarily any crypto related issues, right? They're getting him on sort of personal things like tax evasion and allegedly some even some assault is involved in this. So guy is in big trouble. So we're going to be seeing some interesting trials of crypto bosses in the coming months, and I'm here for it. So not financial advice, do your own research. Shout out to Ripple, shout out to XRP for showing the way, and I for one can't wait for the Blockchain Association to defeat the IRS in this particular legal battle. Take care of yourself. I'll see you next one. Peace.